Good afternoon or good morning, depending on when you're actually going to be listening to this. This week, we're going to talk about a very short topic, and it's about descriptive details, or in the book on page 106, they say it's describing with space order. Space is some place that you're looking at or observing. So describing with space order, or I just call it describing details in a space, begins on page 106, and the main lesson is on page 107 and 108, and then there are assignments on page 108 and page 109. Now the PowerPoint has a lot of detail, so I won't be talking something that is as detailed as a PowerPoint, but I will be trying to explain it in easy to understand way. Now the PowerPoint begins by giving you a table of contents, and I do that in every lesson so that you know what you're going to be studying. Descriptive details can describe a space such as a room or the inside of a house, and they can use words that help you picture or imagine what that house looks like. You can talk about a room as being organized or neat or clean or dirty and so on. You can also talk about people, so you can make descriptions or use descriptive details about people as well as about places. So when you're describing people, in the textbook on page 107, they give you a number of adjectives: athletic, boring, careful, disorganized, hardworking, lazy, neat, messy. There are many, many different words you can use, and in the PowerPoint I give you a few video links that you can look at. They're quite useful and they're kind of interesting, so you should try to listen and watch those. The adjectives that describe a place, as I mentioned some of them already: clean, cluttered, dark, messy, small, spacious, sunny, tidy. Cluttered means that there are too many things in the room or in the place. Tidy means it's very neat and clean. Spacious means there's a lot of space. It's a very big space. So really, this lesson this week is not very difficult. It's more of knowing what the words mean and the vocabulary of the descriptive details. So as I mentioned, there's descriptive details about people and descriptive details about places. When you're describing a place such as a room, and you'll have to do that in the two assignments, when you're describing the places, it's also good to know how to describe where things are. These words that describe where things are words such as in front of, behind, on top of, beside, next to, against, across from, and so on. I mentioned these words, and they're also in the PowerPoint. They're also in the textbook. They're also in two videos, two video links. So this lesson this week has a lot of information, not just from this video lesson that you're listening to, but from the textbook, from the PowerPoint, and probably more interesting is to look at the video links. There's a lot of interesting information, and they try to make it easy for you to understand. Now, the two lessons, or excuse me, the two assignments this week, one is on page 108 and one is on page 109 of your textbook. On page 108, they show you a picture of a bedroom in a college dormitory. They give you a number of nouns, about let's see, they give you about 20, excuse me, they give you about 10 different nouns to describe the objects in the room, and then they give you several prepositions that tell you the location. As I mentioned, you can say where things are in front of, beside, on the left, on the right. So in this assignment, they want you to answer the questions. As you can see on page 108, the general impression of the room. In the PowerPoint, I say that means, what do you think of that room? You could say whether you think it's neat, tidy, very nice looking, or very bad looking, dirty, or whatever you think are the good adjectives to use to describe that room. As I mentioned, the textbook has a number of adjectives. Those adjectives are found on page 107. So then they want you to give details. For example, in the book, they give you examples of what kind of details. They say the bed is next to the window. They mention that the comforter and pillows on unmade bed. The comforter is the cover that people sleep under. So they tell you the location of the different objects. So you should look at that picture and write where the different objects in the room are. So use those kind of prepositions of location. They give you those prepositions above the photograph in the textbook. Okay, now the next assignment is just on page 109. It's a very similar assignment. They give you a picture. They call it instructor's office, or it could be a teacher's office, although I guess it must be very expensive office. Looks very expensive. So they give you a number of nouns to describe the objects in the room, and they give you a number of prepositions such as against, behind, in front of, and so on. And they want you to do the same kind of assignment as you did on page 108. So the general impression of the room, there's a title or a question about that. They want you to say, what do you think of the room? Do you think it's messy, clean, organized, very nice, very expensive, very cheap, and so on? And then, just like on the other assignment, they want you to give details. You can tell about the different objects that you see. There's many different objects if you look closely. You can tell that where they are. Is something in front of, or beside, or behind, and so on. So really, those are the instructions for the two assignments. As I said, it's not a very complicated lesson this week. However, there's a lot of information. I try to make it as interesting as possible by adding the video links so that you can really understand how people describe things, not just from the textbook, but from other sources. Okay, remember, if you have any questions about the lesson or about the assignments, please don't be afraid to send me a text message or email, and I'll always give you an answer. Okay, thank you.